Hatman is one of the most powerful entities to actually exist within the realm of Class of '09. One of the only supernatural threats in the entire series. The Shinigami that escaped the Shadow Realm and is a being of pure negative hate and darkness. He's actually a multi-dimensional being as well, escaping from the real world into the world of Class of '09. Borderline unstoppable because he's literally a shadow being that you can't like physically interact with. So there's nothing you can do. Even if you tell people about it, you're probably too fucked up to even tell people what's going on, and they won't even believe you anyway because they can't see him. And like I said, he can't be physically damaged because he has no form to damage. The main ability is psychologically going into your head and making you want to kill yourself, which is a pretty scary ability. It just shows the extent of his power, how much emotional control he has over you to make you want to kill yourself. However, he does have a few weaknesses. For example, you need to be fucked up on drugs. It may seem like an easy solution to not do drugs, but this is Class of '09, and it's basically a requirement that you need to be fucked up on something. 2, he seems like a pretty chill dude, to be honest. All you have to really do is talk him down. Jecka was able to defeat him in her weakest state in the series, or at least one of her weakest states in the series. However, this was only a chance encounter, as we don't know his full extent of his powers. We only see Jecka interact with the Hatman. We have not seen other characters interact with the Hatman, if they have their own Hatmen, or if he's just one shared being that exists within the minds of all the characters. We have no idea the true scope of his power, and we don't know even if they are separate entities. Maybe one person's Hatman is worse than the other, so we really can't tell. And it may not be as easy of an encounter as Jecka had. Who knows? Maybe Hatman is still working. Maybe he's the reason why some of the endings happen. Who knows? Despite how it might seem on the offset, Jeffery is actually one of the most powerful characters in the entire canon of Class of '09. Instead of choosing an all-around build, he went for more of a glass cannon sort of build. Basically significantly lowering his health value, instead going for more attack power and for more intelligence points. Also has some crazy feats going on in the series and some pretty powerful abilities. His biggest and most obvious feats have to come from the fact that he has the school shooter route and the Class of '09 animated short, like the very first one. It's also shown that he is like very physically strong, at least, or at least stronger than he lets on, because he was able to carry a gun, which it's not a pistol. We can clearly see by the aftermath of the school shooter route just how much damage was actually done. Now, we don't see that anybody is alive, but that's way more blood for it to be one person. But we have another way of knowing about this. If we look to the original anime short, we know that it happened sometime during the school shooter route. You can actually hear him firing shots and killing people. But if we take every gunshot to mean a kill, he has a staggering 14 kills. If we take every gunshot to mean that that is someone who has been killed by Jeffery. It's absolutely insane and gives him the record for the highest amount of kills in the entire series. Other characters have killed people, or, well, technically have gotten others killed, but these are the most direct kills ever in this series history and the highest kill count. There's only one character that can possibly rival this, but we'll get to them later. He also has some passive ability when it comes to authority figures. Mainly teachers usually take his side, probably because he's just like one of the actual, like, at least when it comes to being academic, one of the nicest or best students, I should say, in the series. Being the only one that actually takes school semi-seriously. You can really see this in the form of whenever he gets in trouble or causes some sort of trouble, usually a teacher takes his side. Mainly Miss Lynn are the main examples I could think of where Miss Lynn will actually defend him. I have no idea why. Like I said, I think because he just gets bullied all the time, so it kind of makes sense. Also, that one time where, I forgot what the teacher is, but the teacher opens up to him, of all characters, and then Nicole basically, like, finds out from Jeffery, and then, yeah. I don't remember how exactly, like, to describe it, but that's the only way I could. However, despite him having this many kills and actually being stronger than you think, he is, like I said, a very weak character, so even just one character alone can take him out very easily. He's not always armed with a gun, so like I said, you could just physically like push him over and he'll just probably die instantly. Like there's not really much he can do like in a physical fight without a weapon. Also, because he's just a fucking loser who craves female interaction, he literally gets destroyed by any female character, especially because every female character in this game is basically equipped with the Black Widow perk, basically allowing them to do 10 plus more damage to any male opponents. Very susceptible to getting charmed by female characters, so like, if you're a girl, you literally could just show him any attention and easily manipulate him. We see this mainly with just Nicole getting him killed in Shitside, and numerous other examples. Other one being Nicole, like, manipulating him into basically just doing all of her homework for her and making her valedictorian. Yeah, he's definitely a top tier character, but it's very dependent on the meta. Taking a quick deviation from the more powerful characters in the series, this is one character I can confidently say is around the upper mid-tier to mid-tier range of characters. Ari is a mostly timid character who doesn't really fight back that much. However, she can hurl insults when it comes to it and stand with the top tiers of the game. To an extent, however, she knows pretty much when to back down from a fight. However, just like most mid-tiers in games, she has a few gimmicks to actually help her keep up with the rest of the characters. For example, she's one of the few characters that are armed at all times, like a knife. Now, this knife has special properties. You can actually backstab any opponent, results in a one-shot. Most characters. I'll get into that in a sec. Basically, this doesn't work on certain characters that are above 200 HP. For example, Nicole's brother and Kyler have higher health pools than most other characters, so they wouldn't get backstabbed. However, they are male, so there is a 10% damage bonus because she does also come equipped with the Black Widow perk like most female characters. However, she has an additional bonus to this. She also comes equipped with the Lady Killer perk because Ari's gay, which is actually pretty powerful ability in Class of 09 considering that most of the female characters in this game are fucking gay as shit. The Lady Killer perk essentially acts as a male and lesbian female version of the Black Widow perk, so she has even more damage added on. She has an additional 20 damage. This is also useful against female opponents just because of the additional damage boost and the female charisma options that are enabled with the Lady Killer perk. For example, she's able to deuce Kelly in that one route with the sex rehab program, and Jecka to an extent, and Flipside, even though that was kind of a one-sided thing. Also the same thing with Nicole as well, but like I said, another one-sided situation. However, even though she has a lot of distinct advantages, she does have a lot of like anti-feats that really lower her placement on the power scaling. For example, she's easily defeated like by higher tier characters who are just better and have like way worse insult. Also, she's very submissive and likes being a fucking freak who just gets abused. So yeah, low self-esteem, low mental health, very easy target for the Hatman. Although she doesn't really use drugs as much as the other characters at least. She easily gets manipulated by Nicole, but to her credit, Nicole is like a higher tier character than most. She's one of the most powerful characters, which I'll get into later. So that's not really fair. And plus that's every character Nicole meets, basically. Probably her most damning feat of all is in Flipside, when she gets killed by Jecka while she's drunk driving, which is really bad because that is a very weakened version of Jecka under intoxication with the nausea debuff, and Flipside Jecka, who overall is just the weakest form of Jecka. It's not a good look. However, the car did do most of the work in killing her, so it wasn't really Jecka, it was Jecka at the wheel of the car. The car is one of the more powerful characters because it's a fucking car. Unfortunately for her, Karen is a very, very weak low tier character. She has basically no feats or anything at all. She's just a nicer, kinder version of Jeffery, who's also a girl. She has the Black Widow perk, but literally can't use it just because she's nice. She also gets easily manipulated by a lot of characters just because it's her. Like, there's not really anything. She has nothing unique going for her. And while I do like her as a character, there's literally just nothing to go off. So she's probably one of the weakest characters in the entire series. Megan is one of the most true definitions of a mid-tier character when it comes to the Class of 09 power scaling universe. I mean, overall, she does have high intelligence, which, I mean, doesn't really mean much when you're dealing with the Class of 09 cast in the first place. This does mean, however, she has, like, really good standing with a lot of authority figures and teachers in the Class of 09 universe, similar to how Jeffery has it, to be honest. The main example of this is in her own route when she becomes the, like, substitute teacher for the drama class class. In the re-up route where Nicole is homeless, she actually almost gets her in trouble with the teacher and has him immediately flip to her side of the story. She can also sling insults with some of the higher tier characters in the verse, like Nicole and Emily, when she really wants to. Like, she won't back down from a fight easily. However, you just have to like mentally destroy her. That's the only way you can really beat her in this. Basically, characters like Nicole can easily destroy her when it comes to like just really like getting under her skin and like fully making her shut down. That's the only way of really beating her. However, against lower tier characters, it's an almost unwinnable matchup. Her stuck up kiss ass attitude is also a really good combination with her hacks ability. Basically, it's similar to Makima from Chainsaw Man, except to a way lesser extent. She can basically manipulate people that she sees lower than her, and this is mainly used just to get people to do whatever she wants, especially when she lets her being the substitute teacher go to her head and basically just forces everyone to be like submissive to her to an extent. Basically, against lower tier characters, she's an absolute monster, but against a lot of the higher tier characters, there's just a lot you could do. Like, if she was in a physical fight with a lot of other characters, she would definitely lose. Like, she has no physical abilities as far as we can tell. So her hostage relationship with Hunter, basically, that's the main example of like how her power really works. Hunter doesn't want to be in a relationship with her, but Megan probably just won't let him leave even if he wanted to. But besides from that, the manipulation, that's all she really has under her belt. There's not really many other feats of power that we can clearly see. Bringing it back around to one of the heaviest hitters in the entire verse, we have Emily. I think it goes without saying that Emily is definitely one of, if not a contender for the strongest class of 09 character. She is 100% without a doubt the most violent character. Like, she choked out Kelly into the point of her passing out. She's literally in a relationship with a member of a violent gang. She's destroyed her ex-boyfriend's car by setting it on fire. Speaking of her whole boyfriend being a member of a gang thing, that means she has gang affiliations as well. She may even be part of the gang, although it's never really elaborated, and I don't think so, at least. Considering that she's not part of the Mexican gang, I don't think so, because she's white. I don't think that's how that works, but she does have affiliations and has probably been around gang members before. She also has an insane temper due to her like bipolar and other mental issues. Most characters are just outright scared of her because she is just that wild, even by class of 09 standards. She also has some resistances to like insanely hard drugs that she does on like a daily basis. Even adult characters like Nicole's mom is scared of Emily. One of the only characters, I think, if all of the main cast, or at least all of the main girls definitely, if they were all just in a fight with each other, like free-for-all style, she is definitely the most powerful one, and she will take down all of them, in my opinion. Because she's the only one that's willing to fight and has gotten into physical altercations before. None of the other characters are physically violent for the most part, only really like mentally violent, or I guess I should say, they just mentally like fuck with people. Power's even more increased when she's not being like restricted by Sarah Quill, which actually calms her down, but when she's off of it, she is a complete monster. Even characters like Nicole are scared of what Emily is actually capable of, and she's the one that makes Nicole realize that, damn, I may be fucked up, but she is way more fucked up, and that's an insane feat because Nicole isn't really fazed by anything and does all sorts of fucked up shit, but for someone to like even rival her is absolutely insane. However, Nicole was able to tame her in some sort of way at least and stop things from getting too out of control in her route, even though she did die, but yeah. Mr. White is a very powerful character that I think is severely underrated in the class of 09 meta. Also, please don't click off the video, bruh. The reason I say this is because, well, first of all, just side tangent, I don't know why the first game was so obsessed with this fucking character. Like, he had like, what, like 4 routes dedicated to him? Anyway, first of all, his feats are absolutely insane. He was able to brainwash the entire school, like literally in moments, into believing his fucked up ideology, which, I mean, to be fair, half the school is white, and also he's dealing with the students of class of 09, so like, they're all really stupid and have like a peanut brain, you know what I mean? mean? But that's still insane, though. And his biggest feat, he's the only Class of '09 character to be fucking building level. We know this solely based off of what Nicole says in the route where he blows up the fucking charity bingo event. Bingo halls are big as fuck, by the way. And she said that the bomb could level a food court, and that Nicole and the other girls were literally the only survivors of that situation, meaning that he killed at least 50 plus people, considering just how big those halls are, and that's a lot of people because it was a charity event. There could be more, but I refuse to believe he killed more than at least 50, and even still, that is the highest kill count in the entire series. Kelly is very much on the weaker side of power scaling in the Class of '09 universe. Not really having anything notable at all. The only thing I can really say is that along with her and Jecka, they are canonically some of the more like attractive characters. The only reason I'm basing this off of is what Nicole says, sort of, in the flip side. Also just the fact that Emily as a character is seen as like, you know, I guess the word is promiscuous. She just like gets around a lot. If this was about how many bodies she probably has, then this would definitely be, she'd probably be considered a way more powerful character, but that's not based off of this at all. I also want to mention that she's like really fucking stupid, like almost Crispin levels of stupid. She's basically the female Crispin, except just prettier. Her main feat is getting a fucking job. That's literally the biggest feat that she has to her name, because most other characters don't have a job in this universe, at least, well, the students. But other than that, there's not really any feats that she has, so she's just like on the lower end of the tier list. Well, we finally reached these two, the stars of the show. They're Ryu and Ken of Class of '09, Jecka and Nicole. They're very similar, but very different. But let's talk about Jecka first, because I like her more. I don't know. First, we're going to be talking about her base form, which consists of the first game and re-up. If it wasn't clear already, she's a very powerful character. She's almost on par with Nicole. However, I would say she's a little bit weaker. I'll get into her weaknesses in a second. She basically has most of what you would want out of like a really powerful Class of '09 character. You know, the manipulation, the insults, just the amount of like situations and shit she's just able to get away with, because she's literally one of the prettiest characters in the series. Like canonically, it's stated in Flipside to be the case. However, there are weaknesses that like Jecka has over Nicole. Basically, it's mainly just her actual like her having empathy for others and like compassion for humanity, which is something Nicole like lacks, at least mostly lacks, especially later on in her other forms. She's often the voice of reason, at least when it comes to her and Nicole. She's the one to usually try to talk down Nicole on like some of the more insane shit Nicole does. She also has like a future ahead of her, at least to some extent. She talks about how she wants to go to college and stuff and actually has plans for her future, unlike Nicole, which is honestly a weakness because just Nicole just doesn't give a fuck. But Jecka at least gives a little bit more of a fuck. One weakness that's actually shared between the two that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about is they kind of need each other. Like, they're the only two characters in the whole series that I would genuinely consider friends with each other. Like, they have each other's backs, well, for the most part. We'll get into that a little bit later. And honestly, when they're by themselves, they're way weaker in power. Usually it's their combined might that actually makes them like anything to be feared. And most of the time when they're by themselves, they can't really handle themselves. I think Nicole is better at this than Jecka. I feel like when Jecka's by herself, she kind of collapses, which is basically pretty much shown in Flipside. I feel like Jecka, in a way, the closest comparison to another character, you could say she's like Gohan from Dragon Ball, where she has all this potential to be just as bad as Nicole, but like her empathy and just reasoning like prevent her from reaching these heights. This is shown mainly in the white nationalist route, where she's basically made to be like a high-ranking member of the fucking club or whatever, and she literally orders people to kill Jeffery, and they just do it. Like, that's something probably Nicole would have done if she wasn't against that route. And the biggest thing showing that like she could be as bad as Nicole if she really wanted to, she literally got that one dude to fucking kill his mom for her. So like, you know what I mean? But she literally had Nicole's help to make that possible. Like, Nicole Nicole was the one egging her on to say that. So yeah, without that, I don't think she would have done that. It's actually insane how far a character has fallen from a tier list. Remember literally everything I just said about Jecka? Well, Flipside Jecka is actually, it's a fucking power down compared to like a power up. This is a different form. This is a weakened form. I've never seen this. So basically, she's just not confident, gets in like way horrible, worse situations, can't really fight back against anybody, gets shit on the entire game. She was once powerful and confident master manipulator. No, she's literally just, she's the one getting manipulated in this game, especially by Nicole, who in this game takes on her most powerful form, as opposed to Jecka, who takes on her weakest form in this game. She also has to resort to like literally degrading herself for money. Like there's just nothing positive I can really say about this version. She's just way weaker, way less W's. There's no feats that she actually has in this game, I think. Like there's nothing good that happens to her. And I'm not saying any of this is her fault. It's more just the game's fault, but like, I just don't know what happened. Even with the protagonist phone power, she's still, it like just doesn't matter because all of the options are shit anyway. Anime Jecka, or I guess Annie Jecka in this case, were first introduced to the Annieverse of Class of '09. Which I'm not going to do every Annieverse character just because half of them are like literally the same character. The only ones I'm going to be talking about are Nicole and Jecka just because they are, I think, different enough to be considered different characters and have their own like feats or whatnot. Now take this into consideration that the Annieverse is still unexplored. We don't know how limited, vast in scope it is when we only have this one pilot to really go off of. But as just like going off of this pilot, right? She's just a little ball of hatred. That's the only thing I can see. Jecka in this is like really angry, stubborn, and determined. But she's not that powerful in my opinion. Like she doesn't really do anything that makes her better or worse than what she does in the games, honestly. I guess she is just more like I said, determined and angrier. I feel like she gets pissed off way too easily about the whole like burrito thing. Like I feel like Nicole would probably try to do some shit like this, like with the whole protesting thing. Meanwhile, Nicole in this is like really docile and like doesn't really like, she doesn't really do shit in this actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Like she's way more like subdued, which is weird. Like I feel like these characters got swapped around for some reason, especially just in this pilot episode. But yeah, as for Jecka, there's not really much. I think she's weaker than her Flipside appearance, but like stronger as well. I think she's like weaker than the game version, I should say, by a lot. But I think she's just still like a mid-tier character, at least this incarnation. Finally made it to the star of the show, the big protagonist of the series, and one of the most powerful characters in the entire series, full stop. Alright, this is gonna be a big one, so let me just get into it. Nicole in her base form, Flipside / just the original games Nicole. As mentioned before, her and Jecka have pretty similar stats. However, Nicole just beats Jecka out just barely by a little bit. However, the main reason for this is just like I said, Jecka has some empathy, some goal, something, you know what I mean? There's something in her brain that makes her not want to be as bad as Nicole. Nicole doesn't have this issue. For the most part, she is just completely no fucks given. There's some parts of her that make her feel empathy or remorse, but it's very little in compared to Jecka. And honestly, Nicole, she just wants to make everyone else feel as miserable as she does. She's also a lot more determined than Jecka to get what she wants. Like, she'll just go through any lengths to really get what she wants. She's expert at manipulating people. Like the best there is, there's not a single character that she cannot like manipulate in some fashion, and it actually helps her get out of a lot of situations. Speaking of situations, she also probably has one of the higher kill counts as well, like a Jeffery and Mr. White level kill count, mainly from the white nationalist route where she gets the school burned down. Now, she didn't do this, but I mean, it was her doing. She's the reason why that actually happened in the first place. And it's assumed that the entire school got caught up in that situation because the whole school basically turned to Mr. White's side and his fucked up beliefs. So we can just assume that every single person in that building is dead. Now, we're only going by the actual, like, named characters because obviously they've said that there's many background students that are just randomly mentioned, or like they'll talk about characters that we don't have names or any confirmation for. So if we just go by that, every named character I'm gonna count as being a part of this because the school is completely engulfed in flames. I highly doubt anybody survived this. Like, if you were in that building, you're cooked. Like, you're literally singed, dead and gone. Adding up to all the faculty, unless I'm stupid, correct me if I'm wrong, there is 21 confirmed staff and students. So technically she got 21 different people killed. Which, I mean, that's probably just the highest amount, and I mean, to be fair, it was just a terrorist group that really did the damage, but I mean, we could also include the Jeffery shit, but there's a difference. Jeffery, we know he directly killed those people. That is him, that's his doing. Even though Nicole was the inciting incident, he definitely did it. Thing actually funny about Nicole here, I just want to mention, right, is that despite her being, you know, like, really powerful, she actually has the highest amount of losses in the entire series. Basically meaning any ending where, like, she loses in some way, whether it be, like, her literally dying, her being homeless, or any other thing that just basically, like, where she just is, like, defeated or like just can't really do anything against weaker characters like her mom, for example. And that's kind of just the nature of Class of '09. Like, it's a series with like a lot of crazy like high level characters, but then at the same time they could also be defeated by a lot weaker characters, even though that's usually not the case. But like some characters that are like way more powerful can easily be defeated at some times just because of how the story works. Two final things I want to say about Nicole before we move on to our other counterparts. Apparently she has some sort of like fourth wall awareness / acknowledgement. Basically, at the start of the first game and the second game respectively, she acknowledges the player / God's existence. So like she knows that this is a game to some extent. Now what this really does, there's not really anything, but it's just something I wanted to point out. Or at least that would be the case if there was not for one big major thing. You know how the game is in a choose your own adventure style, you know, it's a visual novel. You just pick the action and it happens. What if I told you that this is actually an ability? This is Nicole's ability. She can choose what happens to her throughout the course of the game. This is completely of her own choosing. It's actually a stand ability. The ability is called Mechanical Animals, and it basically, after her father killed herself, it manifested within her phone. Ability basically throughout the course of her life, there's certain moments, it's completely random when these moments will happen, mind you, where she has to choose between several different options. These options which affect the entire trajectory and course of her life, and she has to choose them. If she doesn't, she'll just be stuck in limbo forever. Basically, she's just suspended until an option is chosen. These are basically the choices that are presented throughout each of the games. And all the choices that are wrong or incorrect, basically, the ones that result in her losing or having a negative outcome, such as her like dying or something like that, she can basically just restart from a save if necessary until she chooses the right option. However, like I said, after these choices are made, whatever happens afterwards is completely random. There will be more choices and she's just forced to live with this for the rest of her life, basically. Like, just at random moments, things will happen that she has to keep, like, choosing options. And there's basically just no free will at this point. Like, there's some free will to some extent, but she's just forced to live out these options forever. Basically, her life is just one big trial and error until she finds the correct choice, but who knows how many times she has to repeat this. Now you're probably wondering, what happens to all of the quote-unquote incorrect routes? Like, where do they go? Did they just never happen? Did they get erased? No. They're actually made into alternate universes. There are only 3 main ones that we know of. The main universe, Anniverse, and the Flipside universe. Which perfectly leads into the next version of Nicole. Yeah, Darkcole or Evil Nicole, whatever you want to call her. She's basically the most powerful version of Nicole, who basically just casted aside everything that Nicole had going for her. The little friends that she did have, so basically meaning just Jecka, and just any moral, like, things that she had that would make her question her actions, she just completely thrown it out of the window. This is the most self-destructive, violent, and just straight up evil version of Nicole, making her the most powerful. She's just Nicole without anything holding her back, basically. She just straight up doesn't give a shit about anything but herself. And even then, she doesn't even care about herself for the most part. Now we've finally reached the last character I'm going to be talking about in this video, is Nicole from the anime verse. And yeah, this is definitely probably the weakest version of Nicole, I would say. There's not really anything super notable about her. She's a lot more passive and reserved as opposed to the other versions of Nicole. She doesn't really do much in this, to be honest. Like I said before, Jecka just basically does most of the heavy lifting in the pilot. Like, she's more important and she's more aggressive and out there than just, like, I guess just Nicole is in this pilot. But other than that, I don't know, she looks nice. I like her design probably the most out of all of the other anime versions of the characters. She's still, I'd say, like, I have no clue actually. Maybe C tier? I have no clue like what this version of Nicole, like, what's the power level? Obviously she's not hanging out with the other two at the top, but I don't know. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the Class of '09 power scaling tier list. You're probably wondering, where are some of the other characters? I did the most characters that I think are actually, like, worth talking about at least a little bit. Like, a lot of the other characters, they just don't have anything to really go off of, even though, like, half of this video is me just making shit up. Like, it just complete bullshit. It's still, like, I can't do it for every single character. Like, even some characters are just, there's literally, like, I have no clue what to say. Like, what do you want me to say about Crispin, like, actually? You know what I mean? Like, I like Crispin, but, like, I can't bullshit feats for him or anything like that. Like, it would just be me repeating a lot of the same things, and this video is already repetitive. Also, obviously, if you couldn't tell, this video is 100% a joke, and nothing in it is meant to be taken seriously. I mean, I'm power scaling fucking stupid teenagers that don't have any actual abilities, and I'm just making shit up. I just thought this would be a funny video, and a fitting way to just, like, end this series, because now I am officially done with this series on my channel, because basically I just ran out of things to say. I mean, like I said, I just bullshitted for 30 minutes straight. I mean, I don't know what else you want me to say with this series. Maybe if the anime actually gets fully picked up and a full season's worth is out, I'll review it when that's out. But probably not. Like, I think I'm ready to just move on with it from this series, even though it's brought me a lot of support, and I thank you all for that. Anyone who's checked out my video specifically for Class of '09. But, yeah, that's really gonna be it, and, see you guys later. Also, this is a parody. I just want to say one more thing, actually. This is just a parody of Soundsmith, the TF2 YouTuber, and his weapon stereotype videos. Like, the music and everything and the whole idea kind of just belongs to him, and this is obviously just a parody of that style of video. But, yeah, see you later.